You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
Reducing the threat of further land contamination. Experts from Shell expected to inspect the wreck with large ROV equipments today in hopes of gathering more information about the ship, its content and ownership. In the meantime, cleanup efforts continue to progress on land. Meanwhile, the opposition is calling for a compassionate grant for impacted fishermen. Couva North MP Ravi Ravnath raised concerns about disruption to fishermen and called for the testing of Tobago fish stock to verify whether it's safe for consumption. In the meantime, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley is attending the 2024 Energy Conference and Supply Expo in Guyana, where he's expected to speak. He's been accompanied by Minister of Energy and Energy Industry Stuart Young. The conference concludes on Thursday, 22nd February. While Dr. Rowley is out of the country, Finance Minister Colin Imbert will act as Prime Minister. And that was your news in 90 seconds.
Thank you very much there, Biana, bringing us those highlights. Certainly very interesting in the developments. The call that's coming there, particularly we're at that point in terms of some of the losses being incurred and the challenges to livelihood on the part of our fishermen. The opposition calling there for some kind of grant or support to be provided to our fishermen. Very interesting and very reasonable consideration at this time, Adana.
Yes, very much so. You know, when you count the cost, the conversation we had last Friday, when you count the cost, there are certain things that we kind of leave out. We look at the big ticket items and the trickle effect of the persons who suffer the losses as a result of this is far wider than we capture even in this media space. And so I was so happy to see that that came forward. You know, we talk about people fixing fishing nets. We talk about people who are selling baits for fish. All of these people, you know, suffer the loss as well as the bigger persons in the industry. The Tobago economy has taken a really big blow where this is concerned, and people are very cautious now. I know there was some information saying that we shouldn't purchase fish in that area for about 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. And so, of course, I mean, you know, when you consider that a fisherman's his sole income and taking care of his families from selling this fish. So we really need to find out how we're going to compensate and how we're going to recover those losses coming from that situation taking place there.
Definitely, indeed. And in the news, we're also chatting about, just in case you missed it, folks, Scarborough Secondary and Lambeau Anglican remain closed. And of course, the necessary meetings will be taking place. Feel free to reach out to the relevant officials at the school as they continue to grapple with this challenge in the area. But with that said, Adana, who do we have coming up on the rundown this morning?
All right, this morning we'll be having conversations with Braden Roberts. Braden Roberts is the Tobago Officer of TUTA, Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association. And we're talking about, he says, end school violence, change the curriculum. You know, having that conversation again about changing the curriculum to assist or to support the end of school violence. We speak it also with Superintendent Rodel Kirk of the TTPS, Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, bringing his usual update from the TTPS and his report on school violence. And then we round the conversation with Mr. Anson Webster, Managing Director of Hunter's Den and Pet Supplies, the first agouti hunting trail. Exciting conversation there this morning, so we do hope that you stay with us as we bring this information to you guys.
All right, and as we prepare to head on into our birthday shout-outs, we just want to shout out this morning. Premraj on the live with us this morning. Renrick. I also see our faithful viewer, Pearl Murray Beard. Good morning to you. Myrtle in the mix this morning. Jesslon, Andre, also connected with us. Jeffrey. We want to say thank you to each and every one of you, our faithful and committed viewers. Lisa James on the outside, my very good friend out there. Mrs. Charles out there in Susulands. Good morning. Good morning to each and every one of you are continuing to choose the Tobago Updates morning show. And at this point, we're heading on into our birthday shout-outs.
And on screen and celebrating a birthday today is Melville Wallace. Melville Wallace is celebrating his birthday today. And of course, we want to wish you a very happy birthday coming to you from all of us here at Tobago Updates Television. We do hope that you have a very good birthday.
Onika Solomon, it's your day, and we want to wish you a happy birthday coming from the entire Tobago Updates family. Wish you all the very best, Onika Solomon.
And this is June Phillips. June Phillips is also celebrating a birthday today, and we want to wish you a very, very happy birthday coming to you from all of us at Tobago Updates Television. Happy birthday to you, June.
And it's a June kind of find your ride, Phillips. That's the lady out there. And make sure you have your vehicles intact and so on. So we want to say a happy birthday indeed going out to you this morning. Yes, viewers, each and every one of you continue to connect with us and to choose us here. We want to say thank you very much. Thank you so much. It's Monday morning. It's that kind of wake up energy. I hope you've got your cup of coffee, perhaps your Milo, whatever you're drinking this morning, your hot chocolate, that you got something in the mix, or if you're rushing on in, you might have that box of juice or just that bottle of water because you're conscious of you have that health waste management going on, so you're reducing your usual intake for the day. Whatever it is, we want to thank you so much for continuing to choose the Tobago Updates morning show. We're happy to be here with you this morning, and just as we head on out to that break, we want to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider. consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry, don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry, if your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil will always be here for you. Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
It's your boy Harry here from Authentic Builders General Hardware, located right here in Tobago, local road, Tobago. That's correct, right here in Tobago. And we are offering you guys the best prices on all hardware material. And if you would like to get your free quotation done, all you have to do is WhatsApp us at 272-1990 and we will give you guys the best prices on all hardware material. That is a guarantee as we are matching or beating any quotations.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash in transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Hey, hello guys, welcome. Come have a seat. Oh, this is so stylish and I love the fabric. Darlings, you must tell us where you got your new furnishings.
We got them locally at Standard. They've got new chic European furniture, crafted from high quality material.
Oh, Standard?
No, it's Standard, their brand new Hive collection.
Experience luxurious European furniture at a price you will love. The Hive Collection, now exclusively available at Standard.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago, which is at about 7:14 a.m. This morning, and we certainly want to thank you for continuing to choose the Tobago Updates morning show. In this interview, we'll be chatting with Braden Roberts, and he's the Tobago officer for Tutor, and we're chatting about, of course, out there in the air now, the issues and that need and calling continuously for that end to school violence. Good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Skeet. Good morning to the viewers and listeners.
All right. Well, before we dive on into the topic, I want to start firstly from the circumstances of what has happened in relation to this whole oil spill, and certainly the challenges that are impacting, apparently very direct in terms of being in the vicinity and the area, Scarborough Secondary and Lambo Anglican. The perspective on Tutor as it relates to the current situation.
Well, it is definitely unfortunate considering that we have had the pandemic. We always seem to have some gap where there isn't that contact opportunity where the teacher and the students could interact. However, the division, the tutor, the various stakeholders would have met and would have been seeking alternatives to utilize in the meantime. We know that the online learning is not something that you just flip a switch and get to. We are not there yet, unfortunately. Hopefully we'll be able to build out that policy enough where we can implement it. But online learning is something you need to prepare for. So we know teachers are guiding and giving as much as they can give during this time, and we're asking the parents to give as much support during this period. But the provisions would have been made for the standard 5s, for the primary school, and for the secondary school, provisions are being made for the 5th form and 6th formers. So work is happening in the background, and we trust that the effects of the shutdown now would not be too long lasting.
So is it safe to say, because I was giving the example, there was a similar situation at Singer Hill Government Primary in terms of treating with some issues there for a few days, the school being out. But I know for a fact, Principal Devines kicked in with her team and her teachers and so on, and they were, providing the necessary facilities to ensure that students are engaged. Yeah. What I want to confirm from the standpoint of Scarborough Secondary and Lambo Anglican, it's not a case that the school may have shut down physically, but students are still being engaged by our teachers and the school and so on as best as possible in the circumstances, even if we don't have the ideal platform. Is that accurate?
Well, yes, and we all have to be responsible,
Yes.
The teachers, the parents, the students
Correct.
themselves, because even the teachers sending work or guiding, or even if they're going to utilize the online platform, the students need to be committed as well. So
Correct.
we all need to be responsible. Whatever loss in learning would affect us down the road, so we expect that our teachers will give their best, and the parents and the students would support those efforts.
And we really hope that these little incidents taking place here is a gentle reminder out there to the powers that be. And I like the fact that you made that point. All the elements, we got to get that system right so that anytime things like these happen, we're comfortable, knowing that automatically we will transition to some form of online learning. And then we move on to the very challenging circumstance. Tobago has been in the news with our young people for very good things. And up comes one element, quite disappointed at that in terms of what took place up there at Signal Hill. What was the initial response or concerns from the standpoint of tutor? Because I think we even saw from the video that would have gone viral and persons who were relating the incident that, in some instances, the usual thing, teachers probably try, but they themselves might be at risk if they try to get in too much in this circumstance.
Yeah, and most definitely, the teachers need to be careful. I would have seen some comments where they are asking of the principal and the teachers to give an account and so on, but come on, if the teacher would have intervened, there's a weapon in the child's hand. Should the teacher get injured, what do we see? Well, we applaud the teacher for trying. We need to have things in place where our children would not be choosing violence, because we all have a choice. I would have seen the video. There are numerous opportunities for that fight to stop. So if we don't influence how schooling is done, these things are going to continue to happen. Even if I give the reference to the student in Trinidad who was very disrespectful to the teacher, the young lady who was eventually expelled, it's the cheering on of the other students that fueled it. So we would need to create opportunities where our children are being cheered on for some positive things and not so much geared towards these things that they are doing for attention, and it is for attention.
So, one of the challenges I have, fights and incidents in schools are nothing new. Mm-hmm. These things have been happening as far as I can recall from our time, Braden, and before our time, in fact. What has happened now, though, is they seem to have gotten a bit more extreme to the extent that you're wondering about one's life. How do we move to a point? Some are calling for the need for what might be greater security, because there's the challenge in relation to how did this weapon even enter, or how was this child able to get into this space? What's the position of tutor as it relates to that greater security in the context of the perimeter and students coming into school?
You see, some of us are failing to get with the times. We are not in 20 years ago or 30 years ago. The children are braver now. We are seeing where with the change of the children rights, even children are confronting police officers. They have that level of bravery where the things we dare not do long time, to even speak to a teacher in a disrespectful manner, it is happening with such ease now. We're talking about greater security. That weapon could have been thrown over the fence at any area of the school and they collect it afterwards. We have to influence the mind. It's a wider societal problem, No matter what you do, you can have more police officers, more guns for the police officers, the camera, the body camera. If an individual or a child chooses that violence or crime, how do you stop it? So we need to influence the mind. And for me, that's what education needs to start off addressing.
There's a question and we want to make sure that we clarify. There are security officers assigned to the respective schools. Is it the responsibility of the security officers in times like these? I understand it's not the responsibility of your teachers, but is it the responsibility of security officers in times like these to step in to quell the situation?
Right, so just make it clear. As far as we know, the security officers are there to secure the compound. Has always been. We have safety officers. So some schools have 2 safety officers or 3 safety officers. They would have a greater responsibility of intervening in such instances. But security officers, as far as we are aware, their responsibility is to the compound.
Isn't that interesting? Is that something acceptable on the part of tutor?
Well,
because and let me tell you why I'm asking the question. I'm making the comparison where if I go to the airport and there's airport security and I try to cause some trouble, they're going to stop me. If I go to the bank and there's the security at the bank, at various places, I go to the supermarket and I try to cause trouble, the security will step in to try to quell the situation so that I don't destroy the same property that they're protecting. So the question is, in schools, should there be some kind of greater responsibility on the part of the security? I mean, this is after the fact, but we deal with that element first and then we'll go with what are preventative measures in the first place. Yeah. Should there be some element of the security that helps in protecting that same school compound to quell the situation? Because if the police has to come in, the police has to intervene.
Right, so that would need conversations between the management of the security and the division. Remember when they had securities, when they first had securities, was never envisioning this kind of violence in schools. So what they would have employed them for would have not been to deal with such. So they need to come to the table, and yes, I agree. We need to have greater personnel at the school who would be able to intervene and even prevent some of these things from happening. So yes, definitely we would need to have that. But what their engagement is, that would need to be addressed between the division and the management team of the security.
Excellent. I want to delve in a little bit. You have spoken extensively as it relates to changes in the curriculum that you feel can certainly help in terms of moving away that mindset from school violence. Tell us a little bit about that.
All right, so I'll just make a quick reference. The guys on the block who are selling the substance and so on, they understand proper maths, no? They understand it in their language. And one more reference, I would have been playing some older guys in the village, and one of them came in, and their language, I was amazed, the analogies. So these persons have the intelligence. It's just that the way in which schooling is structured is for a young man to come and sit down all prim and proper in a classroom and absorb all the Pythagoras theorem and cosine and tangent and so on. It's not relatable to these persons. So we need to utilize what we have on the ground, the tourism that we want to push persons into, the sports that we want to push persons into, agriculture, within each aspect of our curriculum. What we have is a segmented curriculum where maths is at 40 minutes at a particular time, then you go to a social studies teacher who has a particular time, and there's no linkage where that is concerned. So we need to arrange where schools are given projects. I've spoken to this many times. Schools are given projects. So if I give an example, we have the cruise ships in and so on. Let's use the tourism and the mathematics. So instead of giving even accounts, giving the students joint enterprise reconciliation to do in terms of our accounting task, let us look at the tourism sector and give them an example from tourism to work on. In mathematics, you use something from tourism to work on, so at least they can relate to what we are experiencing on the ground. Agriculture, we can have persons in the field of agriculture come and assist the school in a particular project where we use agriculture in the maths, the creative writing, the vocabulary for primary schools. We can use sporting. For football, for example, we have this drill where the coach will call 5 and 4 and they get into groups of 5 or groups of 4. That is mathematics. So if we utilize those aspects as a focus for our school, so we pick 3-4 schools and we give them a tourism focus. So all your content, you tailor it using tourism. And the secretary has an aspect of that to bring forward. So things that would make the work more meaningful to our child, where they have an opportunity to excel more than they would have with the raw concepts that being fed to them.
So the question is, because I know in some schools there's a very active extracurricular and other activities to which we're talking about. I came out of the days of Scarborough Secondary. In fact, there was an entire Friday periods that were dedicated to extracurricular activities. My further question is, for those who still present with the challenges in the circumstances, should we be going way beyond just the child and getting to the point of the home, or do we just stay on the outside? And again, I'm making the analogy very direct to the circumstance. If you come and you are searched and so on, and you are found to have illegal stuff on you, the entire household in trouble. It's not just Braden they're dealing with the entire household. So the question is, if we now have a situation, because one angle is what you're talking about with extracurricular, or shouldn't we also be finding ways to target and to look into the homes in some way, form or fashion? And I might be going into the work of the TTPS, but your thoughts there from the perspective of tutor, because I don't think yes, you may have exceptions to the rule, but I don't think these children just pop out from homes with an excellent example, friends with an excellent guidance, a community that is helping to support, everything perfect, and they just decide to choose violence.
Right. So Susan, I like the fact that you asked finding ways. And to me, we need to have a package to sell to our parents. So we have, and currently we have children who are failing in the school system who are going to be parents. So when we're making a stop, are we going to blame those persons who will become parents until their children come true? We just have this cycle going around where we're blaming parents. We need to be able to address the persons in front of us. In terms of addressing those who are already parents and we need to get them on board, we need to give them something to be on board with. So a lot of the parents not in tune with schooling, don't know what their children are doing. We need to create that avenue where we bring them on board. So if we're talking about the same tourism and the same agriculture and the same physical education, we can have avenues where those parents are required to come to support this particular project that the school has. Right now, they're not in tune. So they're very disconnected. The children will come home and give them whatever version of story they give, and they go with that because they don't have time. Some of them busy working 2 and 3 jobs when they come. We need to have something that centers everybody, all the stakeholders. We come together, study table, we discuss how we find these avenues, and we can see where persons can fit in.
Excellent indeed. We got to wrap this morning. What would be your closing words, the message you'd want to send out there, especially in these challenging times?
Well, I would want us to not blame each other, because tutor could blame the division, the teachers could blame the parents, but we can see what we can do to assist in the process. So we are open. I'm hoping to have a meeting with the secretary pretty soon to discuss some of the ideas I would have just mentioned here. But we all have a part to play, and not just to blame someone else for what they're not doing. So I'm hoping that we become more responsible as a citizen and do our best to make it a better place.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Their message coming from a Tutor Tobago officer, Braden Roberts. And I want to say very much so, folks, this is a gentle reminder to us, and Braden couldn't say it any better. It's not just the responsibility of tutor and teachers, or just the responsibility of the Division of Education, Research and Technology. Folks, these challenges are emanating from right within our homes, and we got to think of, how am I responding to it when I see it right there, or do I allow it to just fester and head on to the outside and create more of an embarrassing situation? We got to get very conscious there and take the responsibility from us early, so we know that the community also gets involved in the circumstances. I want to say thank you very much again, Braden Roberts, for joining us here on set this morning at the Tobago Updates morning show. And at this point, viewers, we prepare to head on out to a break, and we want to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
JK Tech, we bring technology to your doorstep. From cutting-edge laptops to reliable printers, we've got it all. nationwide delivery, and a new website for easy online ordering. JK Tech is your one-stop shop for your electronics and computer needs, carrying top brands such as Acer, Samsung, HP, and much more. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at JK Tech TT or visit jktechtt.com. Quality tech is just a click away. JK Tech. Evaluate your shopping experience, your tech, your way. Call or WhatsApp 383-2651. Shop smart, shop JK Tech.
Hello everyone, it's your boy Harry here from Authentic Car Clinic, located right here in Tobago at Tobago Local Road. You can WhatsApp us or call us at 366-4173.
Your destiny. The best way to predict it is to create it. Do you see yourself exploring exotic destinations or spending quality time with family? However you see yourself, create your own retirement destiny with Tata Life's Destiny Personal Savings Booster. Choose from one of 3 investment options with guaranteed minimum investment returns to secure a monthly retirement income for life, with the option to choose your retirement age. So what's your retirement destiny? Call 62-TATIL or visit tatil.co.tt to learn more today. Conditions apply. Tatil Life, a member of the Anson Group.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. I am Adana Kambi, and we continue conversation in studio with our guest. This morning we're speaking with Superintendent Rodel Kirk of the TTPS as he brings updates to us about things happening in Tobago over the past week and weekend, and also to address a matter, in schools, school violence. Good morning, Superintendent. It's always a pleasure having you here with us.
Good morning, Adana. Good morning to Tobago Updates and your viewers locally and internationally.
Yes, it's always a pleasure having you here with us as we get the details surrounding things happening in Tobago. And in our last conversation, it was so pleasant to know the reports that came in from Carnival. It was a safe Carnival and everything you kind of had a handle on everything that was happening in Tobago, using your strategies. So we want to get some updates. There are a few things that happened in the past week that we want to address. And I'm going to hand over to you as we start the conversation. Primarily, we had that shooting incident and then we had the other situation as well. So let's get into it this morning.
Yes, good morning again. I came here last week and I spoke about, how the Tobago public behaved so well during the Carnival period. And I extended my gratitude to them. What was unfortunate is that right after all that, we had one shooting incident which resulted in a person losing their lives. Again, I use this platform to extend my sincerest condolences to the family of Vernon Thomas. Rest assured that we are currently investigating that matter, and we are pursuing all leads available right now to the police. Also, over the weekend, what we noticed is that suspicious package was discovered in the Cove area. And initial tests revealed that it may be cocaine. Despite what the news had said about packets, it's a single packet. It's about 1 kilogram with a street value of over $500,000. And again, this is an investigation that is ongoing. I want to also say that we don't have any evidence to support whether in fact that find is related to the oil spill. People have their tendency of, sort of having their mind directed a particular way. But so far, we have no evidence that there is any connection, even though the item was found in the vicinity.
Yes, because there was suspicion and, talks about that that being linked to that vessel as well. So I'm happy that you're able to clarify that first. But before we even move on, I want to go back to the shooting incident in that particular area. It's not the first one in that area. Sadly, this person, it was a fatality in this incident. And some have dubbed that area as a hot spot, right? And in the Tobago space, that is of concern to us. What is your assessment on that area? Do you consider it a hot spot? And I know you are not able to give us too much of your strategy, but how can we make people who, because this is an area where people traverse a lot, how do we restore confidence in people casually walking in that area to get to the taxi stand or wherever they need to get to on a daily basis or even in the evening times?
Rightfully so. We have implemented some measures where we do our stop and searches, even with operations with the K9. But seeing that it's something that is continuing, we have to change our approach. I would not mention it on air as to what we intend to do, but in the weeks coming, there are plans afoot that we will put in place to treat with this on a long-term, as a sort of long-term measure in dealing with these issues around in the center of Scarborough. Because, people tend to disregard the lives of others. And we, the police, must, we are starting to be proactive in respect of those incidents, because this is about the third incident in that area in recent times. And it's something that, we need to work on. We are working on it. And very soon, there would be a difference. I assure you about that.
Well, that gives me a measure of confidence, and I look forward to the approach to ensuring that we feel that we're safe again in that area.
Of course.
Right? We want to move on to another topic. We want to talk about another recent incident that took place in this space, in our schools. We have spoken about violence in schools already, and we see a resurgence of it. Well, not necessarily a resurgence, but an incident that took place recently, which left one of the students in a critical condition in the hospital. Give us some information on this situation. Where is it at now? What is the condition of the student who was in the hospital? What is his position now? And what is happening to the perpetrator?
Right. Our last report in respect to the condition and status of the injured child is that he is now in a stable condition and is recovering comfortably. Unfortunately, again, in respect to the perpetrator, he's not in our custody. However, the police has initiated an investigation, and very soon, I know a file will be forwarded to me, and then from there we will engage our legal officers to see what direction we need to go on completion of that investigation. Because yes, rightfully so, we have seen that all our schools within Tobago are now, has been affected by violence, and it's something that we need a long-term approach to treat with. We have tried police in the school. We have tried collaborating with all the stakeholders, and yet still there's a work in progress. We need to do that. What I want to urge in going forward is that this incident happened in the view of other students. I would like to see an intervention where these children could be exposed to counseling, even the teachers who witness it. I know from our part, we will try our best through our victim and witness support. We will also try to implement further measures in where the police could be a part of the stakeholders in terms of operating within the schools that are identified as those, more those who have more frequency of the violence. And one such school, I don't want to label any school, but seeing that Signal had some recent incidents, it's going to be treated with priority going forward.
And, we want to get to, because sometimes we respond to the end result, but we want to get to the root of what causes this type of violence in schools. We want to address things like social issues, the homes that these children come from, the communities that they live in, the things that they are exposed to. How do we address these things to bring some measure of support to show these children that this is not the way, that there are alternatives? I know sometimes you might have trauma, you might have some sort of negative experience, but how do we mitigate to get children to express their disappointments, their anger, or whatever emotions in a different way. And I know that school is peer pressure in school, but how do we deal with these things? We have to go into the communities. Well, how do we deal with these things?
You're talking about the thing and like my pause raised, because you see, what I realize is that most of the children who are involved in violence are those who can be easily identified, because they sometimes have a history. And when you look at some of those children, you will pass through the communities, and late at night you will see them on the roadway with no supervision. And again, I'm not blaming entirely parents, but parents must know their responsibility. They must take charge. They mustn't leave it up to the teachers and the police. They must have some level of control over the child. And again, I don't know if there is some measure in which you could implement anger management in the curriculum. Because, I mean, when you look at it, children feel that the only way they could resolve their issues now is by the use of violence. So we need to have the churches, we need to have the communities involved in terms of having some sort of programs, even within the schools on a weekly basis, where you could pass on that information as to how to deal with conflict and conflict resolution among children. If we don't do that, we may very well have this situation go out of control. But I know from a police perspective, we will try to do as much on our part to go into those schools and have our officers, provide information via lectures and interaction, so that, they could tend to mitigate against some of these instances where you see violence occur.
And yes, that is important. You see, the thing about it is, and we've had this conversation before on the show, where it's a community effort. Yeah. Where it is, back then I used to say it takes a village to raise a child. And so we have to take an interest in our children. We have to take an interest in the generation that is upcoming. And so we need to provide, you're saying we need to provide these kind of spaces where they feel that they can, express themselves in a way that is conducive.
Of course. And again, going forward, what I see, as I say, within every schools, they could identify the persons who are likely to be the troublemakers. I'm not saying that you're right off these children, but what you could do, covertly or otherwise, you could pass on that information to the police, so the police could have an early intervention in terms of getting the relevant authorities, whether through the social work unit or even the police, the community police, to sort of engage these children. Because if you leave it and keep it secret because you want to cover it up, at the end of the day, look at what would happen. Is other children are being impacted, teachers are being impacted, and all these we have to look at the long-term effects which can result from violence in school. So we need to intervene now. It's not it doesn't reach crisis proportion within the Tobago space, but we need to deal with it now.
What about, we have a lot of police youth clubs around Tobago. How many clubs do we have on average? And what is the subscription like? And what do they do in terms of recruiting more youths to come into their clubs and to be active? Because I believe once you provide that kind of space for them, it should be able to assist.
Well, I can tell you that we have quite a number of active youth clubs, police youth clubs within the division. And they are well, people participate a lot, parents and children. But again, to reach out to most of the youth, you need parents also to instill that, within the child. Some parents leave it up to the child alone. And I think maybe you need to get more involved. Because if you want your child to grow up in a safe environment or to learn things in order to stay away from that kind of recalcitrant behavior, you need to be involved. And that is what we are asking. There are several. There are Mount St. George, Roxborough, Charlottesville, Keenan, Meesnall, very active youth clubs within the division. And we need to, wherever you are, you need to reach out. And I know the youth club leaders also reach out throughout the schools and so on. I am going to have a conversation with some of them so that we can, do more to make sure that we put it in the space to have that, level of, that people can have the information in order to come forward to them. So that is something that we are going to do going forward.
That is a welcome initiative, because we really want to get our young people in a positive space where they are able to express themselves under some kind of guidance.
Of course.
Under some kind of guidance that can take them and channel them through. Because a lot of people have talents and they're wasted because of...
Indeed. Indeed.
And the negative influence also that comes from things like, let's say, social media, the music they listen to, and all of these influences. We have to find ways to intercept these things and provide alternatives for them.
And I do agree with you, because when you look at the average teenage child, is that they will lock away for many hours and on their phone, TikTok and otherwise and that. I mean, we are in the age of technology and we may not be able to totally eradicate it. But if parents get a little more involved, they will be able to control some of the instances where these things happen. And if they could educate the children about it, we will have less work for the teachers to do and less work for the police to do. Because at the end of the day, some parents are so naive that they would, my child is a good boy and this and that, and you don't do that. But the thing about it, when you look at the interaction, when you're home, you don't even have a conversation. You leave the child to be on the tablet or on the device totally a whole day and without you even having a conversation. So we need to go back to the way where we have that level of personal interaction with the child, and that could change a lot going forward.
That's right. That's right. You really need to have that level of communication with your children, within your home, within your family, to know what is happening. And, I just want to reinforce all that you're saying in terms of we need to come together. It's a community effort. It's a social issues that we're facing here in Tobago, and we want to make our spaces safe. We want to ensure that our children grow up and come up in a safe environment with confidence in themselves and knowing that there is support for them out there. In closing, how do you want to address our public, our viewers right now?
Well, first of all, let me just take this opportunity to thank the public for, cooperating with our SMART campaign and our road safety campaign. Throughout the carnival, we didn't have much issues where, no one got arrested for DUI. And we know that, it had to be that you actually listen to what we were saying. But in terms of going forward, in terms of violence in schools and safety within our community, notwithstanding that the carnival period is over, we urge members of the public to continue to be vigilant, continue to peruse your space. When you see something out, call the police, and I am thankful that, citizens are hearing us, even with giving us the information to help us to respond, even as recent as yesterday with that fine. I'm just saying that, we need to take charge of our space. And it hurts me when I see within the school children are that violent. Imagine, if we allow this to get out of hand, what will happen in our future? The children are our future, and we need to have that intervention now. So I'm calling upon all the stakeholders involved in child issues and social interventions to reach out. I am willing to be part of it in going forward. I know we have our head of our special victim unit, Tobago, who will be engaging in going forward in some activities within the school in terms of violence. But, we need to do more. And I ask that, all the stakeholders, could reach out, and we will be reaching out so that we could do it as a collaborative effort going forward from today. Right? So that I'm just asking that. So stakeholders look forward for me contacting you soon.
Thank you so much. As a collaborative, we're calling for a collaborative effort here to ensure that we mitigate the situations in schools and in general safety around communities in Tobago to ensure that we have a safe space for generations that are upcoming. And we want to end this conversation on a very, very light note. We want to say congratulations going out to ACP Junior Benjamin, class of 1998 at the Signal Hill Secondary School. 1988, yeah. Who has been approved for the substantive position of Deputy Commissioner of Police. We want to say hearty congratulations to you. Congratulations to the TTPS. We want to say all the very best in this position, and we want to put our support behind you and behind the entire TTPS.
Notwithstanding, Mr. Benjamin is a colleague, a son of the soil.
That's right.
And I want to extend my sincerest congratulations to him as well.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Superintendent Kirk, for coming in on a weekly basis to give us our updates. We've been talking to Superintendent Rodel Kirk as it relates to things happening around Tobago over the past week and weekend, and of course, a call for corporate intervention to assist, for collaboration rather, to assist with mitigating crime and criminal activities on the island of Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break before we continue with conversations. And of course, before we go, we want to invite you to share the live. Share the live. Share the live. We'll be back.
Inner Health, number 13B Portmore, Scarborough, Tobago. With over 25 years experience, offering services in and not limited to microscopic blood analysis, reflexology, and the sale of a wide range of organic herbal products used to supplement thyroid, lymphatic, heart, kidney, and brain health, and the male and female reproductive systems. Come and chat with us. Remember, your health is your wealth.
Rotisserie, mouth-watering fries, salads, combos, and specials galore. Feeling for something to eat? Come and see. Our rotisserie is seasoned to the T. Kicking chicken, masala, and jerk roast. Crispy fries made from scratch. Who do you know can beat that? Or salads freshly cut and packed. When you taste it, you'll be wanting to come back. So come check us out on number 2 Robinson Street, Uptown Scarborough, Tobago. We open on Saturday nights from 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. Monday to Thursday, we're open from 10 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. and on Friday, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Contact us at 772-7443 and all social media handles at The Rotisserie Factory.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning.
Welcome back to the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. I am Adana Kambi and I continue conversation with our guest. This morning we're speaking with Mr. Anson Webster, and he's the Managing Director of Hunter's Den and Pet Supplies. And we're talking about the first agouti hunting trail. Good morning, Mr. Webster, and welcome.
Good morning, good morning. Thank you so much for having me here.
Right. So we're talking about this agouti hunting trail. First of all, you are the Managing Director of Hunter's Den and Pet Supplies. Tell us a little bit about this establishment.
Retail store, hunting retail store in Tobago. We retail all hunting and tactical gears presently. And it's because of that we took the notion to be more involved in hunting related activities. Hence the reason why we decided to give it a shot in being involved in the agouti hunting trial in Tobago.
Awesome. And so we're going to have this hunting trial taking place sometime soon. Tell me a little bit about when this is happening and what can be expected of it.
Okay, this hunting trial is going to be happening on, let's say, this Saturday, the 24th. The opening time is 6 a.m. Saturday morning. You pay your registration fee. We expect to release or cast out all hounds by 8:30 to 9:30. The system with the registration fee, all hunters who wish to partake in this activity could also visit our office, that's the Hunter's Den office, and make the payment of 100 TT. It's 100 TT per dog. So you have the opportunity to go by before the event, pass by anytime this week, pay your $100 or your $200. That's based on how many dogs you're entering. And obviously, you must walk with the receipt on the day of the event.
Right. And for those of us who are not hunters and we don't know how the rollout of this is, tell us a little bit about what we can expect, because we're talking about dogs and releasing them. So just give us a little bit of insight as to how the event is going to roll out.
The whole idea about this hunting trial as well, in the past, almost all the time, as you would see hunters going by with dogs on their van, you could tell or identify that is a hunter. And you always ask yourself, I wonder what these hunters just be doing with these dogs. How they're catching the animal with these dogs. This is the opportunity for you or anyone who is not aware of hunting or how it is done, this is the opportunity for you to come and actually have an idea. It is a very exciting way of hunting. All hunters, non-hunters, everybody, you could come, have an idea, come and see and witness, enjoy the thrill of hunting. What it is about, we release the hounds actually would go out and find the agouti and chase the agouti until it's done in a hole. And that is the fun of it. We as the hunter then will go and retrieve it. But firstly, what the hound dogs will do is the hound dog instinct is to actually alert the owner that, hey, the animal is here. And the way they do that is constant back in the hole, constantly making you aware that, hey, yes, we have something. So it's a very exciting event. It's something anyone who is like the thrill of adrenaline rush would possibly come to see and may be involved with.
And how do the dogs determine what type of animal? Because I'm sure there'll be other animals in the area. How do they determine that it's an agouti?
Again, instinctively, over time, by the training over time, a hound dog becomes an agouti hound dog based on the traits the owner would see in it. Tobago doesn't have a wide species or wide variety of game. Basically, we have the iguana, the tattoo, and we have the agouti. So the option is limited. So they either run the agouti or they run tattoo. Now the handler would see those certain traits in the dog whilst training it. And then you would know, well, you would steer that dog into the agouti hunting, or you would steer that dog into tattoo hunting. So that is how you actually train the dog into hunting agouti or hunting tattoo. Now by then, you would have a trained dog that knows to find the agouti.
Right.
Just by instinct. So that is how a dog become an agouti hunting dog.
Awesome. So it takes training and, trial to ensure that the dog hunts the specific animal that you're going after.
Exactly. You don't ever get up one... Sorry?
You go ahead.
You don't ever get up one morning with a hound dog. This is very rare to happen and go out and say, let's go hunt an agouti. You have to train the dog. You have to prepare. So awesome. It's a lot of work, a lot of hard work in hunting.
Even for me, I am not a hunter, but just having this conversation with you this morning is very exciting, and I'm looking forward to see what the outcome of this would be, the turnout, and in terms of registration, to participate in this event. And of course, it's taking place this Saturday, February 24th.
Yes, it is. It's going to be taking place at the Off Camp Trail in Plymouth, Tobago, where I guess you would want to ask, where is Camp Trail? Camp Trail is a trail that leads off Corland Bay Road. Again, you may ask, where is Corland Bay Road? Corland Bay Road is that road if you're heading west from Blackrock to Plymouth. It's that road on the right just before the Plymouth Junction. Obviously, if you're heading east from Plymouth to Blackrock, it's that road just on your left as you pass the Plymouth Junction. That is Corland Bay Road. As soon as you make that left turn or that right turn into Corland Bay Road, you go all the way up and you'll make the second left. We would have signs there that is going to be directing you to the venue. So you shouldn't be worried. No one should be worried. The location would be easily found.
All right, awesome. And it begins, the casting of the hounds is from 8:30. And how long is the event expected to last for the day?
I'm happy that you asked this question. It depends. The event is usually a 4-hour event, but the problem with hunting with dogs, you can't tell where they might go or how the hunt would go. You would be excited, there would be an adrenaline rush, but it depends. By the 4th hour, if the judges think that, hey, they have acquired enough data to score the dogs, then we'll call off the hunt on the 4th hour. If not, we will decide if you should go another extra hour because we need more data to compile the scores. So basically, it's a 4 to 5 hour session.
Thank you so much for bringing us that kind of insight and information, and for persons who are not hunters as to how these events roll out. Tell us again how we can contact you for registration and payments to get we call them the hound dogs involved in this event.
You can contact us via 321-3742 or 767-9860. Or you could simply visit the Hunters Den and Pet Supply office and make your payment of $100 per dog. And obviously, you would have to walk with your registration fee.
Thank you so much. We've been speaking with Mr. Anson Webster, and he's the Managing Director of Hunters Dens and Pet Supplies, talking about the first Agouti hunting trial this weekend happening there on Saturday. Thank you so much, Anson, for joining us this morning and bringing that insight. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we wrap the morning show on Tobago Updates Television, but our programming continues as we head on over to Tobago Notes and then to GMT with Candace Jackson. So we ask you to stay with us, and while you stay with us, of course, we invite you to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Picture this.
He had such a magnificent presence, and his influence over many years has really shaped the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago.
Those words describe Tobago's, and specifically Lake Coteau's Victor E. Bruce, who was the first local governor of the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago in 1969. Now, listen to this. In 2023, an office was re-established in Tobago where you can visit to lodge complaints in respect of financial services provided by banks and licensed financial institutions. And guess what? The office is housed in the iconic building named after Victor E. Bruce in Market Square, Scarborough. Meaningful, right? That organization is the Office of the Financial Services Ombudsman.
Today is also important because we are opening this office at a time when it is well known that we have some challenges getting between the both islands. And it is actually one of the mandates of the island's government to ensure that we bring a lot more of these services to the Tobago space, which in turn will prevent the need for Tobagonians to journey to Port of Spain to get these services. And so we are happy that the Office of the Financial Services Ombudsman is actually leading the way. We are indeed proud that the Central Bank can come home to Victor E. Bruce in this regard. And I couldn't help, as the governor spoke, about wondering whether Victor E. Bruce himself considered or thought that maybe there will be a day that some of the services of the institution that he was leading for a young nation, a brand new nation, would one day make its way across the shores to his homeland in a building named after him.
We are proud that on this momentous occasion, we are coming back to the roots in a building named after this eminent son of the soil. So I really think this is real, it is symbolic, but it is also grounded in reality.
The Financial Services Ombudsman plays a crucial role in promoting trust and confidence in the financial sector. Our mission is to provide an impartial platform for resolving disputes between consumers and financial service providers.
Services from the Ombudsman will be provided from September 27th and be made available every second and fourth Wednesday in the month from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. free of charge to members of the public.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
A brand new dawn, and as the passion start to rise, the
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad, and the region, with the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine. I am Candace Jackson, and let's get started with the news in 90 seconds. Scarborough Secondary School and Lambo Anglican School remain closed due to air quality concerns from the recent oil spill. Following advice from the Tobago Emergency Management Agency, an emergency meeting involved officials from the Division of Education, Research and Technology, school principals, and PTA, tutor, and the Tobago Information Technology Limited. While the schools are physically closed, remote platforms and online resources are being used to ensure continued education. Next, police are investigating a package at Webster Shore in Cove containing a substance resembling cocaine. The package was removed for further testing and investigation. It is uncertain whether it originated from the Gulf Stream wreck or another source at sea. And the vessel's leak appears to be slowing down. Chief Secretary Fali Augustine stated the stream of fuel-like substances is diminishing, reducing the threat of further land contamination. Experts from Shell are expected to inspect the wreck with larger ROV equipment today in hopes of gathering more information about the ship, its contents, and its ownership. In the meantime, cleanup efforts continue to progress on land. Meanwhile, the opposition is calling for a compassionate grant for impacted fishermen. Couva North MP Ravi Ratiram raised concerns about the disruption to fishermen and called for testing of Tobago's fish stock to verify whether it is safe for consumption. And in the meantime, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley is attending a 2024 Energy Conference and Supply Expo in Guyana, where he is expected to speak. He is being accompanied by the Minister of Energy and Energy Industry, Stuart Young. The conference concludes on Thursday, 22nd February. While Dr. Rowley is out of the country, Finance Minister Com Imbert will act as Prime Minister. And that was the news in 90 seconds. And viewers, yes, we've had a very eventful weekend. And, just to give us an idea of what we can expect in the show this morning, we'll be chatting, first of all, with Mr. Piers Robinson, who's a political advisor and consultant, as we get more into what's been going on with his oil spill fiasco. Of course, the big question of the day is who owns that vessel and how did it end up in our waters? And, of course, who is going to eventually pay for all that cleanup? Next, we're also going to be chatting with Michael Aniset, and he's the General Secretary of the National Trade Union Center. And of course, this is about the proposed pay hike for the Prime Minister and also other members of Parliament and the Senate. And then we'll be speaking with Mr. Krishna Thomas, and he is a floor member of the Lambo Fisher Folk Association. Of course, you know how much these fishermen have been affected by the oil spill, and they are probably going to be out for another couple more weeks while this whole thing is being cleaned up. Lambo still has a ways to go. There is a lot of progress. I would say there's a lot of progress in what we are experiencing with the cleanup efforts, and certainly a great thank you goes out to all the volunteers, all the experts, everybody that's been coming together. It's been a wonderful collaboration of people coming together to get it all cleaned up. It is an uphill battle, and while there is progress, there's still more to be done. And unfortunately, Lambo is where there's quite a lot. But we know that there's work happening as we speak to get as much of it out as possible. And we saw there was, especially yesterday with the frac tanks and so on, they were able to get quite a lot even out of the Petitru Beach and whatnot. So, there is progress. We've still got a ways to go, but there is progress. And the good news is that the oil seems to be slowing down. The leak seems to be slowing down from the vessel, which means we might be getting to the end. So hopefully that works in our favor, and we could continue to work towards cleaning up the mess. But then, of course, the question is, who owns this vessel? And of course, this is what my first guest is going to get into a little bit this morning. So, Mr. Piers Robinson, good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning, Candace, and good morning, Tobago.
All right, great. And now, Mr. Robinson, now you have been one of those people that have been using your time and so on to, sort of connect with what's been happening with this vessel in terms of tracking the vessel. And I think we have a photo there to show for you this is some of the information that you've been able to get and release to the public about it being towed in Venezuelan waters after Aruba. The last notification we know is that it stopped in Aruba for about 4 hours, and then a little ways after that, we lost signal.
Yeah, so what I will tell you about this is that Synmax Thea, which is a technology that is, highly respected, that played a role in kind of monitoring the vessel's journey. What the government would have initially stated is that they're aware of a stoppage, of course, in Aruba and then onwards to Trinidad. But of course, they didn't see what the Synmax Thea technology sees, because what it does is that it uses high-end artificial intelligence to connect and monitor the global space. And it was able to geolocate the sites of the vessel and the tug against the locations, and it found that there was a space of 13 days where the AIS system transponders were shut off, and that was located in Venezuela prior to its eventual capsizing in Tobago's waters.
And of course, we're seeing some of the images here from Syntax of just some timestamps of the vessel's journey being towed by Solo Creed. As Mr. Robinson said before, it capsized. Now, the question that's on everybody's mind is what's been going on with this vessel. Now, there is some strong indications that it might be connected to illicit activities. Do you care to share any information in respect to that?
I mean, look, I will tell you, if indeed it is proven, I saw a report coming out of Tobago last evening that some packets were found, and folks are still trying to decipher if it came from the vessel or whatnot. If indeed it is proven that this packet of a white substance is cocaine, and if indeed it did come from the vessel, Gulfstream, there's a number of things that we now need to consider. I want to take you to the fact that the former Minister of Petroleum, Tariq El Aissami, who was the Minister of Petroleum in Venezuela and the former Vice President, he is actually charged under the Foreign Narcotics Kingpin Designation Act for International Narcotics Trafficking and Money Laundering, along with 14 other current and former Venezuelan officials, right? Of course, the former head of petroleum is in charge of PDVSA, which is the national oil company of Venezuela. And as you know, we have been engaging with some of these very sad people for our Dragon gas deal. So if indeed it does turn out that, let us hypothetically see that there were drugs that were involved in that vessel, there's a number of things that we have to ask ourselves. Now, I've seen a number of people say, well, how come it's only emerged, 2 weeks later when this has... Well, if you can imagine that if drugs are in a vessel and it capsizes, it's turned on its back, right? I suppose you have to wait until the thing spills out and then see what else comes out after it, right? So these are things that we have to consider when we're examining this issue. But what it does is that it raises concerns about the, interactions, of course, amidst some of the nations that have been coming out of Venezuela from the fake birthings and so on. And I want to make another point as well, just before I continue. This information, has been highlighted in the international community about Venezuela's involvement in some sort of covert operation with this vessel. But yet it appears that our government has been unaware of this or unwilling to pay attention to some of the surveillance that is taking place outside of the country, which really requires some insight.
Certainly. And a lot of people are not quite aware, but we're kind of situated physically in the middle of a serious black market trade of fuel. And of course,
Yes.
it involves a lot of countries that have sanctions, which include Venezuela and Russia and so on. And, while there is actually quite a lot that is unknown about who these vessels may be own, there's a lot of indication out there that suggests that there's a middleman that's at play that uses a lot of these vessels, that maybe the commission might take it from one place to the next to transfer the fuel onto a larger oil tanker, and so the trade goes. What is your information telling you?
Well, look, we are a major transshipment point for drugs and other illicit activities. That's just a fact. But what we're still unable to do at this point in time is identify exactly who belongs to the vessel, because the vessel's owners. Because what I did yesterday is with my colleagues at tankertrackers.com, who have worked very diligently in getting some of the information out there. They're still looking and trying to track down the owners of this tugboat. Now, prior to coming on the show, an article today by Nairi Alfonso. She seems to have some insight into the vessel being owned by Guyana. I can't give any credence to that. But in her article, she suggests that, it's known as a coolie boy, and it is flagged by Anson, right? She suggests in her article today that it is owned by Ghana, and it was not oil, but refined products. Now, I've been saying that from very early on that this was heavy fuel oil. So not sort of crude oil, but heavy fuel oil, which is refined products like from petroleum to heavier things. It can be light to dense, right? And so, this just further, I can't speak to the Guyana ownership, because as far as the data that I have seen, the vessel was en route to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, right? Where I believe there would have been a transfer of some kind. But again, when people turn off their transponders, we really never know where they're headed.
Yes, and certainly really interesting things that are unfolding about this. But it also comes back down even to our government's role in all of this, and as to why it seems as though this information is coming from external sources as opposed to our own government, and why is it taking so long?
Well, I think that is a very good question. It's a question that I've been asking myself. And in fact, I wanted to address a particular statement from the Minister of Energy a few days ago, where he said, over 300 and something vessels harbor the same name, right? And I thought, and so it's difficult to sort of track people down. And I thought that that was quite an interesting thing, because if we're talking about the same vessel, these vessels have a unique registration number, right? Just like I suppose cars will have a chassis number. It's similar with the tallest tanker to the smallest fishing boat. They have registration numbers. So for someone in the Ministry of Energy to make such a statement was quite, alarming, and perhaps suggests that the minister needs to, reassess his understandings of the protocols, the marine protocols, because that was misguided and certainly misrepresented of the facts at hand.
Now, in addition to that, we also have the fact that the only time we heard from the Minister of National Security in regards to this matter was on that press release that came out a few days ago, when they identified that the vessel was indeed being pulled by the tugboat named Solo Creed. And that vessel also, as we've been able to find out, it's carrying a Tanzanian flag, but has two other names.
Yes. Well, the vessel has multiple names. The vessel known as Ranger, Margie V, Solo Creed. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they've harboring other names as well, as Nairi Alfonso in her article today suggests. That is a common practice with typically when you're changing ownership and so on, but then also covertly it is used to sort of mask your operations on the high seas, as it were. And one of the things with heavy fuel oil, as I pointed out in my live yesterday, is that typically often it is used for a lot of illegal bunkering. So you can imagine that sometimes people who are engaged in illicit bunkering activities, they typically would fill up a smaller ship like a barge to engage in their nefarious activities. How bunkering is done is either ship to ship transfer, port to ship transfer, or sometimes there's even leads that go into the sea to fill up nefarious barges and boats and whatnot.
Yes, and I mean, we certainly it's certainly an indication of this whole situation, is an indication or a little look into what's going on with that underworld right now that we are unfortunately in the middle of. And, do you think that we would really be able to identify the owners, given how deep this web is out there?
Well, let me put it this way. If it is as nefarious as we believe it is, nefarious actors would not necessarily want to be caught, right? And it obviously makes quite a lot of sense that the data that we are deciphering from these vessels is not really forthcoming, because when I look online and look at the registration details as generic information like America, Panama, we're not actually seeing any identifiable information associated with any individual per se. And that makes sense if you have every intention of engaging in nefarious activities. And I suppose one of the things that I found quite alarming is that we haven't yet moved into tier 3 at no point in time, actually. And we should have really done that on day 1, right, to sort of arrest this issue, get the sort of international help that is required, but that wasn't done. However, notwithstanding that, I must commend the people of Tobago and all of the folks that have been involved in the cleanup, because it's been a good job so far, though it's kind of challenging when things are still coming. One of the things I want to point out, because it's been on my mind, is all those fisher folk who have been impacted. We have to imagine that this is their livelihoods, right? And I think that they require some kind of compensation or grant, because it should even be without them having to beg, right? You understand that this has impacted their livelihoods, and it should be done today.
Mm-hmm. And you have to mention that it's our Chief Secretary Fali Augustine, made a lot of statements of wanting to elevate this to a tier 3 level, but there seems to be a reluctance from central government about having that international help. And of course, that leads to a lot of speculation as well. And while we are dealing with this matter, it also, opens up a whole bigger question, in the sense that while this illegal oil trade, for want of a better word, it continues to happen, while the majority of us are just very much unaware of what's happening out on our seas, the Caribbean is vulnerable. We have a lot of islands in the Caribbean that the same thing can happen to them. And then what next for them? This has the potential to decimate economies and nobody
Correct.
to be able to pay for it.
I mean, yes. I mean, we will have to try our very best to find out who owns this vessel and try to get some kind of, recompense, as it were. But there are international conventions, when there are oil spills and so on, once the criteria has indeed been met, that you can access for funding and grants to assist with major oil spills. As it pertains to the latter nature and failure to initiate a tier 3 in the earliest sense, I too share concern that was ill-advised. And I say that against the backdrop of the charges against senior Venezuelans who, combined with the, suspected origins and purpose of the barge. And what it does is it underscores the need for vigilance in Trinidad and Tobago's dealings with Venezuela. And I would even go as far as to say that because of all of these illegal activities dating back from 2019, when the international community spoke about those fake birthings, spoke about the, readjustments and so on, that it necessitates a re-evaluation of Trinidad and Tobago's engagement strategies with Venezuela, our diplomatic relationship against the involvement of their involvement in illicit operations.
All right. Well, I mean, certainly a whole lot that's happening out there. There's a whole lot of questions that we have, and we're going to continue having these questions until more information comes to light. But I want to thank you so much, Mr. Robinson, for being on with us and for sharing some of the knowledge that you have been gathering over the past few days and last couple of weeks, I would say. So thank you again.
Thanks, Candace.
All right, viewers. Well, that's how we're going to end this segment, but don't worry, we're not quite done yet. We've got a whole lot more coming up for you on the program, and we'll see you on the other side of this break.
The energy fill the skies.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you. Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Jimmy's Holiday Resorts has 1, 2, and 3 bedroom, fully self-contained apartments located at the heart of Crown Point. Minutes walk to the popular beaches, restaurants, bars, and the airport. Enjoy our amazing amenities such as fully equipped apartments, complete with Wi-Fi, AC, TV, and a pool, and a mini-mart on the compound. Call 639-8292 or 8929. Jimmy's Holiday Resorts is your family's home away from home.
JK Tech, we bring technology to your doorstep. From cutting-edge laptops to reliable printers, we've got it all. Nationwide delivery and a new website for easy online ordering. JK Tech is your one-stop shop for your electronics and computer needs. Carrying top brands such as Acer, Samsung, HP, and much more. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at JKTechTT or visit jktechtt.com. Quality tech is just a click away. JK Tech. Evaluate your shopping experience, your tech, your way. Call or WhatsApp 383-2651. Shop smart, shop JK Tech.
back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Viewers, we are continuing our conversations this morning related to what's been going on with that oil spill and the vessel that's stuck in our waters. And yes, we still have a lot of unanswered questions, but while we are waiting on all of those questions to be answered, we have a group of people that are very much affected. Their livelihoods are affected, and these are the fishermen. And joining us this morning is Mr. Krishna Thomas, and he is a floor member of the Lambo Fisherfolk Association. A special good morning and welcome to you, Mr. Krishna. How are you doing?
I'm pretty all right now. Pleasant good morning to all your visitors from the island and all your viewers.
And certainly, and you know, this was one of the fishermen that our crew went out with a couple Wednesdays ago when we first discovered the vessel.
Yeah, on the first day.
Yes. So I know there was a lot of concern that myself and my cameraman was out there without a life vest, but you know, I was pretty confident because I knew I was in safe hands.
No, we know the whole terrain concerning the whole from Scarborough straight down to the airport. So going out without a life jacket there is nothing, it's a normal thing to us, you understand me?
Yes.
We travel the high seas like that.
And certainly, now, you have been also one of those people that have been working daily with the team to lay out the oil booms and so on, and to make sure we could minimize the chance of more of that oil getting to our shores.
Yes, but what happened with the oil right now, the pockets of oil is lodged in the rocks. That way is washing down to Hilton, and the vessels and the people cannot get to it to do the cleanup. So as the tide right now, we are going from first quarter into full moon. So yeah, we have everything. The sea is like a living person. It have the different tides. So right now, the tide is getting bigger. So every day, as they're clean, more oil is being coming into Lambo Beach. So our natural fishing habitat, well, basically right now we cannot go to fish because they say our boats are contaminated, and we do not want to take our boats from one port and go to the next port because we have to sanitize, clean the boat because all the tar or the oil, matter of fact, is on the boat, in the bait well, and all these stuff.
And it's an interesting word to use. It's like tar.
Yeah.
And we have to say it because it's so thick. It's not regular oil.
No. Well, the authorities, them not coming to tell us what we are dealing with. That's one concern. The next concern is our livelihood is being severely affected. Plenty of these guys that fish with me and other boats, fishing is the only means of income. We are not getting no help concerning it. The only person giving us a little bit of help is ATFA and Mr. Douglas, that is the president. He is taking money out, literally money out of his own pocket to help us, you understand me? We haven't seen the THA, we haven't seen nobody from central government. Right now, Lambo is ground zero for this oil spill. You know, if the boat did overturn and lodge like up in Roxborough, let me use that as for instance, the whole coast from Roxborough comes straight down will be affected. But when the boat overturned out in the sea, the boat just travel faster than the oil. So the boat come and lodge down at Cove, but the oil was behind coming. We did not know that. So when it came in now, what is the problem now? It came in such a rush that how the authorities couldn't do no effort to stop it. Because you was out there the first day.
Yes.
We didn't see that volume of oil,
No,
you understand me?
It was not until Thursday and we saw.
Yeah, the next day when you came, it was like, wow, what really going on here? You could say that, oh, well, Tobago strike oil. But it's not we strike oil, you know, we strike a natural disaster instead, you understand me? And Lambo is ground zero. Come like the World Trade Center, when it blew up, you understand me? New York is a state, but Manhattan was ground zero for it, you understand me? So that is what's going on in Lambo. The fishermen them depend on that to mind their family, to pay their rent. A guy just a couple days ago couldn't pay his rent. Mr. Douglas had to take some money out of his pocket to help the guy pay his rent.
So what is the feeling of the fishermen at this point in time?
Very frustrated. We are frustrated right now because some of us, that's all we know. Going out into the sea, catching our fish, coming in, making our living. We can't make a living. We can't do nothing. Right now, we can't just say we have a boat to go nowhere because our boat is naturally covered in oil.
And have you been having any conversations with the area representative, and that's, of course, Mr. Wayne Clark?
Mr. Wayne Clark have his plate full right now. He been sorting out with his school and all the other people on the side of the beaches where have been affected, you understand me? He didn't have no conversation with us, to my knowing. The only person we really getting a little feedback and a little assistance from is ATFA.
And then yesterday we heard from the opposition, they made a call that the central government should organize a sort of compassionate grant or something of that nature for the fishermen. Because of course we know that at some point some level of compensation will come in. But of course that's also dependent on being able to find the ownership of the vessel and all of that stuff. But while all of that is happening, that might take some time. And in the meantime, your livelihoods, your immediate bread and butter is being affected.
Yeah, because some of us have loans to pay. Some of us have rent to pay. We have kids going to school. We have grandkids. We are the only breadwinner in the family. What is our position? If we don't go to sea, we cannot feed ourselves. We are honest, hard-working people. We get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. You see how others be. Go out there, make our catch, come back in. Sometimes we don't catch nothing. Next day, we have to find gas to go back out there, ice, again to go. And right now, we can't do nothing. And now it's Easter, where we're supposed to be making a little money, understand me, for the bad days. Nothing is going on. The teacher not telling us nothing. So central government supposed to come in now because we are watching at this oil spill as just right there. But this have very, very bad effects on the environment because all the rocks going up the by the abattoir from Lambo, those stones there cannot be cleaned. So we are having this disaster affect us. Not next month, not the following month, but for a whole year or 2 years.
Now, when you say that the rocks can't be clean and so on, how does that even affect, what's the relationship between the rocks and the fish and all of that thing?
All right, well, the rocks does gather moss. Bait fish does feed off the moss. Bigger fish feed off the bait fish, and we catch the bigger fish. So we just use a bait, catch a bait there, and go out into the ocean on different spots and catch bigger fish. Now the whole coastline there is affected. Now, when we have to go to fish, when we get it all clear to go to fish again now, instead of spending $1,000 in gas for the day or $2,000, we're going to be having to spend more because here what? We'll have to leave from Lambo and travel to Plymouth or up Castara to catch bait, then to come back and fish off the shallows of Crown Point. So before you start to make $1, you will be $1,000 out your pocket. So you have to make that $1,000 before you start to fish.
And is fishermen noticing a drop in fish around the area at this point in time, or even, going up to Roxborough? Like, what's the experience out there like?
Well, right now, people on the whole are saying that all the fish is polluted and contaminated. But I differ. Because the fish that are being caught right now are not from around the oil spill. Those fishes are being caught deep out in the ocean and at the head of the land. That is up Charlottesville, Speyside, on that side. So those fish are good. No oil and gold as yet. But we have to remember that our tide does change. And the THA and as part central government need to do something a little more. Because THA don't have the resources, but central government might have the resources. Because the oil have been traveling further down
south.
Right. And then what will be happening now, when the tide changes and the water changes, we just have a difference in the current. So it will be coming back up to Tobago. So right now the current is going down. If the current swing now and come back up, right below Cove down there, below by the airport there, when the water is coming up back now, it'll take the water now and push it up towards Castara side. Castara, Pigeon Point, Mount Irving, Grafton, you hear the beaches are calling, are our tourist points. So we have to concentrate too on the oil that is out in the ocean. Because if it come back up to us, it will not only affect Lambo, it's going to affect the whole North Coast.
And then as we're getting ready to wrap, we're almost at the time, but could you just, spend 30 seconds and just say, what, as fishermen, you would like to see happen at this point in time, especially Lambo fishermen?
Well, right now, what we would like to see is the oil cleanup, because this is not affecting Lambo. It's going to eventually affect the whole of Tobago. We cannot look at Lambo alone. And then if it affects Tobago, it's going to affect Trinidad as well. So we need for the two islands to come together, central government, THA, and find a resolution concerning this whole oil spill.
Thank you so much, Mr. Krishna Thomas, for being on with us and giving us your perspective as one of the Lambo fishermen, and especially as one of them that's also very much involved with the cleanup efforts as well. I mean, certainly thank you for lending your hand and for doing what you can. But of course, it's hitting home for you.
Yes. All right.
All right, so thank you. And viewers, please don't go anywhere because we've got a whole lot more coming up for you on GMT right after this break.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Coconut's Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
Yo everyone, it's your boy Harry here from Authentic Builders General Hardware, located right here in Storby, Local Road, Tobago. That's correct, right here in Tobago. And we are offering you guys the best prices on all hardware material. And if you would like to get your free quotation done, all you have to do is WhatsApp us at 272-1990 and we will give you guys the best prices on all hardware material. That is a guarantee, as we are matching or beating any quotations.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your nice car get damaged bad, I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. Never ever worry if sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry if times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Viewers, we are now switching gears to what's been going on with the with the salary increases that was revealed just last Friday in regards to our government officials, our MPs, our Prime Minister, senators, and it's of course raising a whole lot of concern. And just to give us his perspective, we are being joined by Mr. Michael Aniset, and he is, of course, the General Secretary of the National Trade Union Centre, NATUC. Good morning and welcome to you, Mr. Aniset. How are you doing this morning?
I'm there surviving, and pleasant morning to you and blessings to Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you so much. Now, just to put this into perspective, so over the past couple of years or so, there was the CPO offer of a 4% increase to public servants, but we're seeing here that government officials are being given a 37% increase in their salaries. Your comments?
All right. Well, what I would like to say on behalf of the National Trade Union Centre, the union I represent, Siemens Union, and all other unions, that the Salary Review Commission would have done some homework, because we have been articulating as a trade union movement that the question of 4% over 6 years, cut it. And what it does is to put workers under the economic bus. It puts workers under the financial water. And therefore, we continue to argue that there is a need to revisit the 4% that has been offered to government employees over the 6-year period. So that as a labor leader, as a citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, we have no squabbles whatsoever in the Prime Minister or the President or parliamentarians getting their increases in the salaries, because we have been asking that for workers. However, what we are saying, that you cannot build a just society, you cannot talk about social justice when the distribution of wages and income is skewed towards a certain group of people, and when the mass majority of workers, which is the government employees, are asked to make the sacrifices by getting 4%, which we see as, we call it deficit wages, because those workers cannot maintain their standard of living or do what is necessary to keep the economy rolling over.
And, if this situation was where the MPs, the parliamentarians, etc., they were being offered a 4% increase in their salaries, would that have been a concern?
Well, let me put it that way. If I'm getting $59,680 or $41,000 members of parliament, as opposed to the ordinary worker, government worker, who in some instances getting as much as $4,700. 2% on $59,680, excuse me, as opposed to 2% on the lower round of salaries. It's a disparity that we have to be concerned about, because that income disparity is what is causing the inequality within our society, and therefore we are not comparing apples with apples. We would like to see, all right, a higher increase for the ordinary worker, a higher increase for the public servants, the 12% for the dock workers, the 9% for the NIB workers, and all government daily rated workers, the IMA workers, and all the other workers get it just due. And may I make a point, please, that within Trinidad and Tobago, the private sector, all right, which is another competitive force, have been making their increases a minimum of 6% over the 3-year period, and in some instances as much as 12 and 14 percentage points. And the question that we have to ask ourselves as Tobagonians, how it is that the private sector can sit down and negotiate on time with the respective unions, but the government inevitably finds it impossible to negotiate on a timely basis. And I raise the issue of time value of money, meaning that if I get my increases 10 years after, the value of that money means nothing to me, because I cannot buy the goods and services I would have been able to buy 10 or 12 years ago with a 2% increase in 2023 or 2024. So those are economic realities that we must pay attention to. Those are the kind of principles that we want to engage the government in. Those are the kinds of concepts that we want to engage Trinidad and Tobago in, because we believe in the national trade union movement that social justice must be the order of the day, and we must afford our citizens, and more so the working class and the public servants, who are the middle class, who are being wiped off of the economic map. We must find a way to bring back that kind of equity and fairness as it relates to income equality in Trinidad and Tobago.
Do you think that the government and these parliamentarians and so on, do you think that they are in touch with the plight of the average man on the street or the average public servant and the challenges, especially when you talk about daily rated workers and so on, and the challenges they face on a daily basis to ensure that they can provide a living for themselves and their families?
No, I think that the government, the ministers, and in particularly the Minister of Finance and the Prime Minister and the Cabinet, they are so far that is visiting people. And I want to speak to Tobago, because the Tobago cost of living is much higher than that of Trinidad and Tobago, given the realities that Tobago faces in terms of goods and services. And that is a point that no one can deny. And therefore, we are saying that wages must be reflective of the true economic and financial realities that workers are facing. We cannot build a society when you have what we will want to call wage deficiencies, which causes workers, to live from salary to salary, and some cannot even make it from salary to salary, given the demands on the finances that they have to do the ordinary living standards that is required of an ordinary citizen. And then you see, and if we don't have that kind of conversation, right, and if we do not realize that our society would have gone into this situation with crime, well, we have to ask ourselves the question: what is really the product of crime? If we have a society where children are leaving school and the cognitive skills is not there, they can hardly read and write, what do you really expect as a society? So then we are saying that there's a need to build a fairer and more equitable society, and that can only be had when we start to pay attention to the income inequality and the wealth inequality that is frightening and growing year by year in Trinidad and Tobago.
So at this point in time, what should the reaction be from the population as we are watching the situation unfold? We're watching the wage disparity as we are, struggling because if we're really honest with ourselves, there's a whole lot of the population that's still recovering from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic might be over, but the impact is far-reaching.
Yeah, you are so correct, because there is so much economic fallout that was occasioned by the COVID-19 that we have not really sat down and addressed as a people, as a society, as a government. And we will continue to argue in the labor movement that is the government fiscal and government policies in terms of the redistributive mechanism in terms of the labor market is what pushes us in a particular direction. Are we satisfied that what is happening is the kind of society that we want to build? And I think we have to be brutally frank, because this is for our children. We cannot pretend that in Trinidad and Tobago there isn't a fact which cannot be argued by anyone, that there's a 10% people in Trinidad and Tobago who benefit immensely, as much as 75, and in some instances more than 80% of the wealth and income in Trinidad and Tobago, where the mass majority of our workers, the public servants who were supposed to be the middle class in the olden days, they are being wiped out. And I'm therefore, we have to sit down and we have to have that kind of conversation. We cannot get bogged down in the materialism. We have to build a society where fairness, social justice, equity is the cornerstone of what we want to do, and then the question of how we deploy our assets, which is the people, right? Which is one of our greatest assets, our human resources. How we deal with that to ensure we have the kind of society that we want to build to carry Trinidad and Tobago to the other level of the economic ladder.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much, Mr. Aniset. And I don't know, before we go, I don't know if you have a few more words that you want to leave with us in regards to the situation.
Okay, no, I will simply want to say, and I will make this cry. You understand that listen, there are dock workers who are waiting for the 12%. There are NIB workers who are waiting for the 9%. There are workers, MTS workers, other government employees who even haven't started negotiation because the Minister of Finance have refused or is unwilling or has neglected his responsibility to give directives to the boards to start those negotiations. We believe that is unfair, and we believe we need to go back to the table to find a reasonable resolution to what is happening in Trinidad, so that the tripartite partners, like is done in Singapore, can sit down and genuinely sit down and build a pathway for a better Trinidad and Tobago. We cannot continue to have this division. We cannot continue to have this frightening income inequality and wealth inequality, which is driving poverty and which is driving crime and the other social effects that we are seeing within our society. So there's a need for serious talk in Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aniset, for your perspective on this matter. And viewers, well, that's how we're going to have to wrap the show this morning. I want to thank you all for joining us. It was certainly a wonderful time being with you this morning. And please stay tuned for Tobago updates through our social media pages on Facebook and YouTube, also the website. And of course, you can log on to our programming daily 24/7 on channel 102 on Amplia to get the latest updates on all these things that are happening, especially as it relates to this oil spill and this vessel, the Gulf Stream vessel that ended up in our waters. Listen, this is not, we probably are not going to get answers right away. This is going to be an ongoing situation because the situation runs very deep into the underworld. That's as much as I can say for now on that. But I want to thank you so much for joining us. Hope you have a safe and wonderful day, and we will see you again tomorrow.
Tobago is number